Hello Earthlings, Kibby here. So remember in my first speed paint video I mentioned that I got the reputation for being the party member killer? Well, I've decided it's time I tell that story. But before I do, the drawing you're seeing right now is an updated header I made for my various social media and new fourth wall store I set up after seeing how little Redbubble was actually giving me. I don't have too much on there just yet, but if you want something, just let me know and I'll put it up as soon as possible. Link is in the description. Now on to the video. So late into the campaign, our party came across a village that was completely empty. No people walking the streets, no store owners trying to sell us stuff, not even anyone in their own homes. We took a look around and found that the people all seemed to have left in a hurry. Like there was still food on the tables and many valuable items were still left behind, which may or may not have ended up in some bags of holding. We eventually found a guy who was hiding in one of the houses. It took a while for him to calm down enough to tell us what had happened, mostly because we kind of kept scaring him. But eventually he told us that a horde of giants attacked the kingdom, and anyone who didn't run away or hide in time got captured and locked in the castle to be eaten. We decided that we probably didn't want a whole kingdom to be eaten by giants, so we came up with a plan to help them. One of our party members happened to be a high-level druid with shape change, so he changed himself into a giant to convince the other giants to let him into the castle, while the rest of us hid in one of his bags. This worked surprisingly well for us, and we got into the castle with no problem. Once out of sight of the other giants, our druid cast invisibility on himself, and opened his bag to let the rest of us out so we could find the captured people. I happened to be the one to find that they were being kept in a large storage room, with the only exits being two heavily locked doors. Thankfully, being a high-level rogue, that wasn't an issue for me. What was an issue, however, was that somehow the giants found out that we were there, and were trying to help their food supply escape. By the time I got the first door open, explained who I was to the trapped people, and our plan to help them out of there, several giants were already coming through both doors. Which was a massive problem. I may have been pretty high level, but I was still one rogue against 6 giants with a room full of at least 100 people to protect, which is really not what a rogue is meant for. I immediately start looking through my inventory to see if I at least have something that would fend off these giants until the rest of my party arrived. After a few frantic moments of searching, I found an enchanted arrow shaped like a silver rose I had gotten when we were looting a massive weapons hoard a few sessions ago. Unfortunately, I had no idea what it did. Look, our party was very bad at taking the time to actually learn what cool things we had picked up in our sessions. It was something our DM called us out on a lot. So this may have been my first clue that using this arrow was probably a bad idea, but I didn't really have many other options. So I pulled back on the string of my bow, took aim, and rolled a 17! The arrow hit the nearest giant dead center, and in seconds, bark and vines started spreading over its body, transforming its flesh into wood. In horror, it stumbled back, and the same thing happened to the 2 giants behind it. Before they even had a chance to attack, what were once 3 giants were now a small grove of trees, and the arrow had returned to my quiver. No wonder our DM was so adamant we learn what tools we had. I could have been turning our enemies into foliage this whole time! I then remember I still have 3 more giants to deal with at the other door. I turn to take my second attack, and roll a nat 20! Oh, hell yeah, I was so excited how fast I turned that situation around. Which was probably my second mistake. The arrow hit one of the giants and cut right through to the other 2 behind it. For a moment, everything was great. All the attacking giants were dealt with, and none of the prisoners were even close to being hurt. Except the arrow didn't return to my quiver. It kept going. So remember how our druid was currently shape-changed into a giant and was also invisible? Yeah, apparently he saw a bunch of angry giants running towards one location and went to see what was going on, which meant that he was a very big target that my character couldn't see, and in the path of a magic arrow with a nat 20 behind it. I hit our druid right in the chest, and all we could do was sit there as our DM described his slow, painful transformation into a tree. And from that day forward, his player never let me forget it. So, moral of the story? Find out what the stuff in your inventory does, or your friend might never let you forget the time you turned them into a tree. If you like this story, you may also like my first attempt at an original story based on famous alien encounters. Until next time, bye!